this
That's
point,
what I-
so wait a minute.
She was a meal ticket. But
No, she
$35.
And he says, let me introduce you to my wife?
Or did I say that before we got to Missouri?
No.
I didn't tell you before we got to
No.
Missouri.
From the moment this episode starts, the tension is thick. Judge Lake introduces the case, Jones-Henry versus Jackson, and reveals that Ms. Jones-Henry believes Mr. Jackson is the father of her 35-year-old daughter, Melanie. Here's the kicker. Melanie has never seen her alleged father in her entire life until today. You can feel the electricity in the courtroom as Judge Lake says, "Jerome, bring in the defendant." The door opens, and it's like 35 years of questions walk in behind him.
I feel a little lost, unwanted. This is my first time ever even seeing him. I've never even seen him up, hugged him or anything, and I called him when I was little and asked him.
Melanie speaks for the first time, and her words just pierce right through you. "I'm hurt. I feel unwanted. This is my first time even seeing him." Her voice cracks as she says she once called him as a child, and he promised to come, but never did. It's one of those moments where even Judge Lake's face softens. The pain isn't loud, it's heavy. You can hear sniffles from the audience. Then, boom, Mr. Jackson jumps in coldly. "I don't believe I'm her father."
What did you do? Explain to the court.
When she told me that she was pregnant, I knew that I wasn't the father.
Mr. Jackson proudly says he tricked Ms. Jones-Henry into admitting she was with another man. Judge Lake leans forward, eyebrows up. "You tricked her?" He explains, "Yeah, I told her to check with that other guy, and she admitted it." Ms. Jones-Henry interrupts immediately. "That's not true," the audience murmurs. Judge Lake's tone cuts through the noise. "Sir, you mean to tell this court you played mind games about a pregnancy?" Oof, it's like she's holding back pure disbelief.
When I met Mr. Jackson, I met him at a club. He was in the military. We were together all week long while he was there. We wasn't a fly-by-night, we was just together.
Ms. Jones-Henry insists she never admitted to being with another man. "He was the only one I was with," she pleads. Then we get the backstory. She met Mr. Jackson at a club while he was in the military. "We were together all week," she says. "Not a fling." Mr. Jackson chuckles, saying she told him she could fall in love with him that first night. Judge Lake smirks. "So that red flag wasn't that bright, huh?" The courtroom bursts into laughter. Classic Judge Lake moment.
Ms. Jones.
A few months, and I told him. He wasn't either ecstatic or he just didn't give a reaction.
When asked how Mr. Jackson reacted to the pregnancy, Ms. Jones-Henry's voice drops. He didn't deny it, he just gave no reaction. He claims he knew she was lying, saying she was trying to trap a military man. Oof, you can practically hear the audience's collective side-eye. Ms. Jones-Henry defends herself. "I didn't need to trap nobody. I loved him." Judge Lake zeroes in like a hawk. "So this wasn't about money, it was about love." The truth stings on both sides.
He started to pay child.
Mr. Jackson, so how did you find out if you weren't there for the birth and you weren't there to sign this birth certificate?
Judge Lake reads the birth certificate aloud. Mother's name, signature, father's section blank. Ms. Jones-Henry quietly says, "He wasn't there." Mr. Jackson admits he found out after the birth, through a child support letter. He laughs about getting $35 checks and signing for dependents' pay. Judge Lake stops him cold. Legal lesson number 1. When the court calls, you answer. The audience claps. She's not just teaching him, she's teaching all of us.
As if I signed saying I am the father of their child, of Melanie.
Legal lesson number 1. When the court calls, you answer.
Right.
Mr. Jackson says he only signed the affidavit of paternity to get extra pay while in the Marines. Melanie can't believe her ears. "If you felt that strongly, you should have fought," she says through tears. Ms. Jones-Henry jumps in. "She wasn't a meal ticket, she was a child." But Mr. Jackson mutters, "She was $35 a check." The whole courtroom gasps. Judge Lake freezes him with the stare. You could hear a pin drop. Sometimes silence says more than shouting ever could.
And so, Mr. Jackson, you just said something in open court right now. You just said in court, she was your meal ticket. Do you believe that Ms. Jones-Henry was just trying to set you up to be the father because you were this military man?
Melanie finally erupts. "I couldn't imagine leaving my kids like you left me." It's raw, pure heartbreak. Mr. Jackson defends himself again, saying relatives told him she wasn't his. But you can tell the excuses sound emptier each time. Judge Lake brings it back to the core. "So even when you signed, you still had doubts?" He admits he did. "Then why sign?" she presses. He shrugs, saying he needed the money. Judge Lake's face says everything. Pure disappointment.
I had great thought of him. I never had anything negative thoughts of him because I still, to this day, felt that way.
Ms. Jones-Henry reveals she searched for him on Facebook decades later. For me, this is personal. I love that man. You can feel 35 years of unspoken emotion breaking through her words. Melanie wipes tears as her mother says, I never told her anything bad about him. It's tragic. Love that turned into silence. Silence that turned into pain. The audience is glued. This isn't just a case, it's the unraveling of a lifetime of hope.
And all these years to realize that he never thought anything about me, do you know how hurtful that is? How much that hurts?
Then the emotional knockout. Mr. Jackson admits, I knew I wasn't gonna stick with her. Judge Lake can't believe it. Sir, you created this pain. He tries to justify himself, but she doesn't let him. You signed that paper and that made it worse for her. It's like a masterclass in accountability. Melanie, through tears, says, you could have at least helped me find out who my real dad is. That line hits hard. It's not anger, it's exhaustion.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Really?
Jerome walks in with the envelope. The room is silent. Judge Lake takes a deep breath. In the case of Jones-Henry versus Jackson, when it comes to 35-year-old Melanie Jones, you can see Melanie clutching her mom's hand. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father. The gasp is audible. Ms. Jones. Henry shakes her head in disbelief, saying, I didn't have anybody else. It's that devastating moment where the truth doesn't heal. It just hurts. The camera pans to Melanie, eyes wet, jaw trembling.
I don't blame you. I just wish you would have taken care of your business then so I wouldn't have to suffer now. I mean, I came here today for closure, and although
Melanie finds her strength. I came for closure. Her voice is calm but full of ache. Even though he's not my dad, I finally know. Judge Lake tells her, even though you felt unwanted, he came here today out of love. It's a quiet, redemptive moment. Mr. Jackson apologizes. I feel bad. I'm truly sorry. The tears in Melanie's eyes say it all. Closure doesn't erase pain, but it helps her finally exhale after 35 years of holding her breath.
Ms. Hilburn, you admit that you've been caught up in a love triangle for the past 3 years, which you say resulted in the birth of your 10-month-old daughter, Saray.
Judge Lake doesn't waste a second. The moment she opens this case, you can tell it's going to be rough. Hilburn versus Barnes. Ms. Hilburn is in court facing the consequences of her Valentine's Day mistake. She admits to cheating while married, and now her husband, Mr. Barnes, doubts that 10-month-old Saray is even his child. The tension? Off the charts. Judge Lake says, so this affair happened around Valentine's Day? And Ms. Hilburn whispers, yes, ma'am. Who? That quiet confession hits harder than a shout.
Are Saray's father, you do have doubt?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
So, Mr. Barnes, what kind of connection have you developed with this child?
Ms. Hilburn insists she told her husband about the affair right away, claiming she wanted honesty. But Mr. Barnes fires back, saying she hid the truth for months. He looks Judge Lake dead in the eye and says, I thought the baby was mine until people started talking. You can practically feel the air leave the room. Judge Lake leans forward, eyebrows raised. People started talking, or your wife started telling. Boom, instant tension. You know it's serious when even Jerome stops smiling.
No, Your Honor, it was always done while I was at work, so I had no idea. The night before Valentine's Day, which is the first time it happened, I was at work. She says she's going to her friends. Okay, fine, go ahead.
Ms. Hilburn admits something jaw-dropping. At one point, she was living with both men. Yep, you heard that right. The audience collectively gasps. She says the situation just got complicated. Judge Lake looks over her glasses like, ma'am, complicated is not the word. Ms. Hilburn tries to explain she was trying to fix her marriage but ended up confused. Mr. Barnes crosses his arms. She wasn't confused, she was caught. And Judge Lake just sighs. She's seen this kind of chaos too many times.
Are you sleeping with both of them while you live in the house with both of them, Ms. Hilburn?
Yes, I was.
So, I'm not trying to give anyone tips, but how did you pull that off?
As Judge Lake digs deeper, we learn that Ms. Hilburn actually slept with both men within the same week. The courtroom goes silent. You could hear a pin drop. Judge Lake asks softly, so you understand why your husband questions paternity? Ms. Hilburn nods, eyes full of tears. Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Barnes shakes his head, muttering, now she wanna cry. Judge Lake shoots him that look that says, not today. This is classic paternity court. Messy, painful, and way too real.
Find out you're pregnant with Saray. Who do you tell first?
I told Mr. Barnes first. He said that he wanted to see the proof.
Judge Lake goes into full math mode. drawing out the timeline. When was the last time you were with your husband? And when with the other man? Ms. Hilburn hesitates. A few days apart. The audience groans. Judge Lake repeats, a few days apart. That's why we're here. And she's right. This is textbook paternity confusion. Ms. Hilburn looks at her husband, pleading, you know I love you. But Mr. Barnes doesn't blink. That silence speaks louder than any argument ever could.
You nodded affirmatively. He does love her, right?
Yeah. And when I told him, he didn't want to believe that she wasn't his.
Mr. Barnes explains that despite everything, he stayed because he wanted his family to work. His voice cracks as he says, I loved her, but every time I looked at that baby, I wondered. Judge Lake nods, her tone softening. That's a heavy thing to carry. Ms. Hilburn wipes her eyes, whispering, she looks just like him. The camera cuts to Mr. Barnes. His jaw tightens, but his eyes. They say maybe she's right. It's tense, heartbreaking, and oddly tender all at once.
And he only tries to be the dad to try to get to Mr. Barnes.
To
provoke
provoke
him.
me.
Oh.
Yes.
So using your baby as a pawn, and you're still sleeping with him?
Judge Lake finally asked the question we're all thinking. Why bring this case now? Mr. Barnes answers plainly, because I'm tired of being lied to. He accuses Ms. Hilburn of using the baby as a pawn to control him. The audience gasps again. Ms. Hilburn protests, crying, that's not true. Judge Lake's voice cuts through the noise. That's a serious accusation. You could cut this tension with a knife. It's not just a DNA test anymore. It's about respect, truth, and trust.
That's all the players.
Yes.
So, Mr. Barnes, you got a girlfriend. Does she know about this relationship?
She suspects, but when you don't see your girlfriend for...
Ms. Hilburn breaks down completely. I've made mistakes, she sobs, but I've always told him the truth. Judge Lake nods gently, and sometimes the truth comes late, but it still matters. Mr. Barnes finally looks over. You can tell he's torn between anger and heartbreak. It's one of those quiet, heavy paternity court moments where you stop laughing and start feeling. This isn't just drama, it's a whole life hanging on the words inside that envelope.
We are going to get the DNA test results for Saray today, but I am going to order you. I am going to send you directly from this courtroom.
Judge Lake says firmly, we've heard enough. Jerome, please hand me the envelope. The audience shifts. Ms. Hilburn grabs a tissue, her hands trembling. Mr. Barnes sits perfectly still, staring straight ahead. The paper crinkles, and you can feel everyone's heartbeat rise. Judge Lake clears her throat. In the case of Hilburn versus Barnes, when it comes to 10-month-old Saray Hilburn, the camera zooms in. This is the moment that decides everything.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Barnes, you are not Saray's father.
Mr. Barnes, you are not the father. The courtroom gasps. Ms. Hilburn bursts into tears, her face buried in her hands. Mr. Barnes exhales sharply, part relief, part devastation. Judge Lake looks down, visibly moved. I know this hurts, she says softly, but this truth was needed. The sound of sobbing fills the room. That's when it hits you. This isn't about blame anymore. It's about heartbreak, closure, and consequences.
Her father, but the DNA says otherwise. I'm just a judge. DNA is the jury. Mr. Barnes, I know these are not the results you wanted, and I know you've...
But just when you think it's over, Judge Lake drops another bombshell. She orders a prenatal DNA test for Ms. Hilburn's unborn baby, and the results are in. Mr. Barnes, she says, you are not the father of the unborn child either.
Ms. Marsh, you and your mom have demanded the defendant, Mr. Reed, appear in court today because you say he denies your 1-year-old daughter, Tamari.
Oh, it's already wild. Judge Lake opens the case, Marsh versus Reed. Ms. Marsh and her mother have dragged Mr. Reed to court, accusing him of denying 1-year-old Tamari, but only when Ms. Marsh refuses to be one of his wives. Yup, you heard that right. This man's talking about having 4 wives. Judge Lake's face says exactly what we're all thinking. Sir, what? Mr. Reed sits there calm as ever, insisting Ms. Marsh confessed that Tamari might not be his. We're 1 minute in, and it's chaos already.
You don't believe that?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Where'd you meet?
We met in Columbus, Ohio, but I lived in California.
Okay.
I had just turned 18.
Okay, so you met in Columbus, Ohio?
Yes.
So you all started dating?
No.
Judge Lake asks Ms. Marsh point blank, are you using this baby to trap him? Ms. Marsh doesn't flinch. No, Your Honor. I just want him to take care of his daughter. But Mr. Reed quickly chimes in. She told me I might not be the father. Judge Lake leans forward, raising an eyebrow. So, Ms. Marsh, did you tell him that? She shakes her head, but the audience isn't buying it. You can almost feel the tension from both sides.
And then spent another $1,000 on her birthday
What
party.
man does that?
Me.
So wait a minute. You threw a birthday party
I love
for
children.
her older child.
We find out these two met in Columbus, Ohio when Ms. Marsh was just 18. He lived in California. Long-distance love gone wrong. They reconnect years later, and he sweeps her off her feet until she realizes the man's got wives. Plural. Ms. Marsh recalls him saying, "I'm coming for you," like it was a fairy tale. Girl, that was a red flag wrapped in a Facebook message.
Telegram, and he said, "This my wife."
Your Honor,
and I said, "It's over."
Your Honor, on the way to the...
What?
Your Honor, on the way...
Hold on now.
Here comes the twist. She says he threw her daughter's birthday party, spent over $2,000, and made it look like they were a real couple. But then, he invites her to a resort for his birthday. And surprise, his wife and another woman show up. Judge Lake literally says what we're all thinking. I have never heard of a man taking a woman on vacation to meet his wife. The whole courtroom loses it. You just can't make this up.
I said, "You know what? I want to go back home. I have people in St. Louis that could take me home." He said, "You're not going nowhere."
The reason I got upset is because her and the other person
We got
ruined
into
my
it.
birthday.
Mr. Reed defends himself with a straight face. I told her I wanted 4 wives. I'm Muslim. Ms. Marsh rolls her eyes so hard they could have left orbit. Her mom jumps in. He's a fake mover, Your Honor. A wannabe. Judge Lake chuckles under her breath. Let's focus. But honestly, this man really thought "meet my wife" was a romantic line. Even Jerome looks like he wants to take notes just to not do this at home.
His mom, we were downtown talking, and his mom was like, "I thought he told you that he wanted 4 wives." I said, "No, your son didn't tell me. He tricked me." So it's a difference.
Ms. Marsh's mom, Ms. Walker, confirms she thought Mr. Reed was a nice man. He planned birthday parties, acted loving, even played dad to Miss Marsh's older daughter. Then came the pregnancy announcement, and boom, everything changed. Mom's voice cracks when she says he came off like a strong person until she told him she was pregnant. You can feel that mama bear heartbreak. Judge Lake nods knowingly. She's seen this pattern too many times.
Tell the court.
So I found out I was pregnant. I called Mr. Reed because I felt sick. So we went to the store and got a whole bunch of pregnancy tests. Then we went to the pregnancy center. We got an ultrasound.
Ms. Marsh recounts how she found out she was pregnant. She and Mr. Reed took tests together, went for an ultrasound, and everything felt perfect. Until he left town to console another woman. Another woman, y'all? Judge Lake looks stunned. You mean to tell me he left you pregnant to visit another woman? Ms. Marsh nods quietly. Mr. Reed shrugs like it's nothing. The audience collectively gasps. Every player in the room just lost their confidence.
So you done come and got this young girl. You sold her a whole bunch of dreams.
I didn't sell her nothing.
And I believe
Said he's talking about what I'm doing, but she have numerous men.
Now the real bomb drops. He's 40, and she just turned 26. Judge Lake's eyes widen. You're 40, and she was 18 when you met? You can feel the room tighten. Ms. Marsh's mom interjects, he came and sold her a bunch of dreams. And when Judge Lake learns he's got women in different states, she straight up says, "So you've got companions everywhere?" He grins and says, "Yes, ma'am." The crowd gasps. Judge Lake mutters, "Companions? Sir, that's chaos."
Did you accept during that time that she was carrying your child?
Yes, I accepted it, but I wasn't for sure it was mine.
He don't want responsibilities.
Ms. Marsh reveals he only takes care of kids when he's dating their mothers. Her mom confirms it. When a bill's due, he disappears to Chicago. He jumps in, "I threw her a $2,000 party." Judge Lake shuts it down with, "Money doesn't replace parenting." The whole court claps. The man looks stunned, like he's never heard that before. Ms. Marsh just crosses her arms. She's done arguing with delusion.
at the end of the relationship, I guess she was stalking my Facebook. So she screenshotted him a picture of Tamari and he wrote me on Facebook, like, "I want to see my daughter."
When asked why he doubted paternity, Mr. Reed claims Ms. Marsh told him in anger that the baby wasn't his. Judge Lake sighs. "You can't unring that bell, ma'am." Ms. Marsh tries to explain, "It was one argument." Judge Lake says firmly, "Once those words are out, doubt will live forever." The audience hums in agreement. And honestly, that's the gospel truth. Judge Lake always finds a way to turn drama into a life lesson.
Let me grab my conception calculator. Tell me, when was Tamari born?
April 15th.
All right, April 15th.
Judge Lake brings out her famous conception calculator. Tamari was born April 15th, 2016. That means conception happened between July 18th and 23rd, 2015. Ms. Marsh insists she wasn't with anyone else until August 1st. Mr. Reed quips, Quick move on, huh? The audience gasps. Even Judge Lake has to side-eye him for that one. Ms. Marsh says she only slipped once. One night led to another. Judge Lake just shakes her head. The math doesn't lie.
So now you back staying with her.
No, I left.
I made you leave.
Whatever, she made me leave. It don't make no difference. I'm not there no more.
Judge Lake asks if he stayed around for the baby. Turns out, yes. Mr. Reed lived with Ms. Marsh for 7 months. So you lived there, played daddy, but still had doubts? She asks. He shrugs. I was trying to do the right thing. Judge Lake fires back. If you think it's a trap, don't walk into it. The courtroom bursts out laughing. The woman has a point. You can't complain about a cage you willingly walked into.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Reed, you are not the father.
Then comes the moment everyone's waiting for. Judge Lake opens the envelope. When it comes to 1-year-old Tamari Marsh, Mr. Reed, you are not the father. The audience gasps. Ms. Marsh covers her face, sobbing. Mr. Reed looks shocked, muttering, "Now I feel like a goofy." Judge Lake doesn't miss a beat. Well, now you know how it feels when the shoe's on the other foot. You could hear the crowd murmuring, "Justice served."
Ms. Kavanaugh, you and your mother are appearing in court today to prove paternity of your 3-week-old son, Malcolm. Now, you claim his biological father is Mr. Bowles.
Things kick off in Kavanaugh versus Bowles and McElliott, and right away, Judge Lake looks intrigued. Ms. Kavanaugh and her mother have brought 2 men into court, both potential fathers of her newborn, Malcolm. But here's the kicker. Even Ms. Kavanaugh admits she was with both men during the conception window. Mr. Bowles looks skeptical, arms crossed, already declaring, "I'm positive I'm not the father." Judge Lake sighs, knowing she's got a long day ahead. This is going to be a wild ride.
Your Honor, I believe Mr. Bowles is my son's father. Even though we wasn't in a committed relationship, we had unprotected sex frequently.
Ms. Kavanaugh insists Mr. Bowles is the dad. "We weren't in a committed relationship, but we were together a lot," she says. She adds that he hasn't called or even asked the baby's name. Her mom jumps in. "My grandson doesn't have a voice, so I'm speaking for him." But Mr. Bowles isn't buying any of it. He rolls his eyes, claiming he found an open condom wrapper at her place. Ms. Kavanaugh fires back. "That wasn't mine." And just like that, we've got fireworks.
Actually, when we first met the first night, we had sex within like 20 minutes of being in her house.
It wasn't within 20 minutes.
Mr. Bowles swears he's not the father because he found evidence of another man in her bathroom. "We had sex the first night," he says proudly, trying to make a point. Judge Lake's eyebrows shoot up. Ms. Kavanaugh defends herself. "We talked for years before meeting. It wasn't random." Her voice cracks. She's emotional, trying to prove this wasn't just a fling. The tension's thick enough to slice with Jerome's clipboard.
All right, so now you find out you're pregnant. When you find out, who do you tell?
Your Honor, I told him. I told Mr. Bowles, because that's who I believed.
Then Ms. Kavanaugh admits she slept with another man, Mr. McElliott, but only once. She says she did it because she wanted Mr. Bowles to care, to make him jealous. Judge Lake looks stunned. "So you used one man to get another man's attention?" Ms. Kavanaugh nods, admitting it was immature. "It didn't work, Your Honor." The crowd murmurs. You can feel the collective yikes. Judge Lake says softly, "That's why we're here today."
You know, Mr. Bowles, I'm trying to understand your doubt fully.
And also, before she got pregnant, she actually lied about being pregnant maybe like some weeks before.
Then the bomb drops. Mr. Bowles claims Ms. Kavanaugh once lied about being pregnant, before she actually was. Judge Lake tilts her head. "Is that true?" Ms. Kavanaugh nods sheepishly. "Yes, Your Honor." She admits she tried to fake a pregnancy test to keep his attention. "I was going to take 2 negatives and turn them into a positive," she confesses. The entire courtroom gasps. Judge Lake can't help but chuckle in disbelief. "You had a whole plan, didn't you?"
And then what happened?
Well, I took both of the tests, Your Honor, and I went to go eat. I came back and they were both positive.
No cut and paste necessary.
No.
Then comes the twist no one expected. Ms. Kavanaugh says the tests came back positive for real. She says, "When I came back from eating, both were positive. No cut and paste necessary." The courtroom bursts into laughter. Even Judge Lake shakes her head, smiling. That's what I call divine irony. Ms. Kavanaugh admits she was childish and didn't understand the weight of pregnancy then, but she does now. Judge Lake nods, impressed by her honesty.
Actually, at first I didn't believe her.
Okay.
And then I did start to believe her. I wouldn't say I was excited. I was still being around.
Yes,
I knew that
he
she was
was.
with other guys.
When Judge Lake asks Mr. Bowles how he reacted, he admits he didn't believe her at first. She'd lied before, he says. I thought she was playing games. He goes on about how he thought she had other men and accuses her of cheating again. Ms. Kavanaugh looks hurt, saying, "He disrespected me, Your Honor. I told him I didn't want to be intimate unless we were in a relationship, and he woke me up at 3 a.m. saying he was going to another woman." The audience gasps. Even Judge Lake's jaw drops.
We fell asleep because I was tired. He wakes me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tells me he's going to go have sex with another woman. Yeah, so
You wake her up to tell her that?
First of all,
Ms. Kavanaugh's voice cracks. I was pregnant, and he left to be with someone else. Judge Lake turns sharply to Mr. Bowles. You woke up a pregnant woman to tell her you're going to see another woman? He shrugs. We were just friends. Judge Lake fires back. That's not friendship. That's foolishness. The courtroom laughs, but Ms. Kavanaugh's pain is real. I chased him out the house, she says through tears. Judge Lake shakes her head. You deserve better than that.
I do still kind of have feelings for Mr. Bowles, and I don't really know why. With Mr. McElliott, he actually told me he didn't want to do a DNA test, and he would.
Judge Lake gently asks, do you want him to be the father, or do you truly believe he is? Ms. Kavanaugh takes a deep breath. A little bit of both. She admits she still has feelings for him. The courtroom hums softly. Her vulnerability is raw. Then she says Mr. McElliott offered to sign the birth certificate and raise the child regardless. But I still want my son to know his real father, she says. Judge Lake nods. That's right.
State your name for the court.
Philip McElliott.
Mr. McElliott, thank you for joining us today. Please describe your relationship with Ms. Kavanaugh.
My relationship with Ms. Kavanaugh, I would say...
Jerome opens the door, and in walks Mr. McElliott, calm, collected, polite. Ms. Kavanaugh's mom claps, calling him a great man. Judge Lake greets him warmly and asks about their relationship. He smiles. It was special. I took her out to dinner. To movies, Judge Lake lights up. So you actually courted her. The audience melts a little. Finally, a man with manners. But everyone knows we're still in paternity court, and no story here ends smoothly.
She sent me a picture of an ultrasound. I also have that with me.
You do? Let me
Yes.
see that, please. Thank you.
I looked at the ultrasound. She actually...
Mr. McElliott explains he found out about the pregnancy when she texted him an ultrasound. He even brought a copy. She said the baby looked like my mom. He laughs awkwardly. Judge Lake chuckles. From an ultrasound? The room breaks into giggles. But then he admits he was willing to skip the DNA test and just be the father. Judge Lake asks, even knowing there was another man? He nods. The crowd audibly goes, aw. For a moment, even Judge Lake softens.
But I believe there was third party or something that was included in this.
yes.
Okay.
That's true, Your Honor.
Oh, nah, it's true.
That's true, Your Honor.
A third party?
Then things twist again. Mr. McElliott claims there was a third man. Ms. Kavanaugh agrees. It was a drunken one-night stand. The courtroom gasps. Judge Lake's expression? Pure disbelief. Did you use protection? She asks. No, Ms. Kavanaugh admits quietly. Judge Lake uses the moment to teach. Men may run wild, but women bear the consequence. You can't turn pregnancy into a guessing game. The audience applauds. Ms. Kavanaugh's mom nods through tears.
I'm a woman too. I ain't young no more, but I wish. I am a woman as well. We have responsibilities to a child. Until we figure out who their father is, the child still's gotta eat.
Judge Lake continues with passion. You cannot make a man love you by having his baby. The courtroom hums with agreement. Respect yourself enough to walk away when a man doesn't want you, she says firmly. Ms. Kavanaugh whispers, I've learned, Your Honor, for myself and for my son. Judge Lake smiles. Good, she says softly. That's growth. You can feel the healing energy ripple through the courtroom. Then it's time. Jerome brings the envelope.
3-week-old Malcolm Kavanaugh. Mr. McElliott, you are not his father. Mr. Bowles, you are not his father.
Here it is, the moment of truth. Judge Lake opens the envelope. In the case of Kavanaugh versus Bowles and McElliott, when it comes to 3-week-old Malcolm Kavanaugh, Mr. McElliott, you are not the father. Mr. Bowles, you are not the father. The courtroom gasps. Ms. Kavanaugh covers her mouth, tears streaming. She apologizes through sobs. I'm so sorry. Judge Lake tells her gently, find your child's real father. Your son deserves to know. Then she turns to Mr. Bowles. You weren't ready to be a father, but you need to be ready to be a man. Boom. Court adjourned.